Good morning, children. Today in English in class 11, we continue the chapter Ranga's marriage. And earlier we had discussed how Ranga and the narrator had a conversation. And through that conversation, the narrator is able to understand the views of Ranga about marriage, that he would like to wait till he could find a mature girl to marry. Now, Rama Rao's niece, a pretty girl of 11, had come to stay with him. She was from a big town and she knew how to play musical instruments like the veena and the harmonium, and she also had a sweet voice. Her parents had died, that is, Ratna had lost her parents, and her uncle had brought her home, her uncle, that is Rama Rao, who lived in this village only. Ranga was just the boy for her, that is, that he was the right match for her and she the most suitable bride for him. So Ratna and Ranga were most suitable for getting married. Since I was a frequent visitor to Rama Rao's place, the girl was quite free with me. The narrator visited Rama Rao quite frequently, so the girl, that is Ratna, was able to talk quite freely with him. I completely forgot to mention her name, Ratna. That is the name of this girl, Ratna, who the narrator felt would be the right match for Ranga. The next morning, I went to their house and told Rama Rao's wife, "I'll send some buttermilk for you. Ask Ratna to fetch it." So he wanted an excuse. So he told Rama Rao's wife that he has some buttermilk and Ratna can come and fetch it. That means come and take it from his house. Ratna came. It was Friday, so she was wearing a grand sari. So she was very well dressed. I told her to sit in my room and requested her to sing a song. She could sing so well, she was able to sing very melodiously. So the narrator requested her to sing a song. I sent for Ranga. That meant I called him. While she was singing the song, Krishnamurti in front of my eyes, Ranga reached the door. And as she continued to sing her song, just then Ranga appeared. He stopped at the threshold. Threshold means the entrance. He did not want the singing to stop, but he was curious to see the singer. He was so impressed by the lovely song sung by that girl, so he just stopped there. Carefully he peeped in, wanting to know who it was. The light coming into the room was blocked. Ratna looked up and seeing a stranger there abruptly stopped. And while she was singing, she saw the shadow at the entrance and suddenly she knew that there was somebody over there and she abruptly immediately stopped singing. Suppose you buy the best quality mango. You eat it slowly, savoring its peel, that means relishing the mango, before biting into the juicy flesh. You do not want to waste any part of it. Obviously, mangoes are a delight for everyone. Before you take another bite, the fruit slips out of your hand and falls to the ground. How do you feel? So naturally, there will be dejection, there will be disappointment that the fruit that was being relished fell on the floor. Ranga's face showed the same disappointment when the singing stopped. Now, Ranga was so impressed by the singing, the beautiful song, the melodious song sung by Ratna, and when it stopped, he was very, very disappointed. "You sent for me?" he asked as he came in and sat on a chair. That is, he asked the narrator that he had been called. He did not know why. Ratna stood at a distance, her head lowered. Because she was young, she was 11 years old, she was very shy as well, so she had her head lowered. Ranga repeatedly glanced at her. That meant that he looked at her, glanced at her, looked at her again and again. Once our eyes met and he looked very embarrassed. That is, the narrator observed that he was looking at Ratna, so he felt very embarrassed and conscious. No one spoke for a long while, and then there was no conversation for some time. "It was my coming in that stopped the singing. Let me leave." He felt disappointed, of course, that the song had stopped, that Ratna had stopped singing, so he felt that he should leave the place. Words, mere words. That is, that he said that he should leave, but he made no effort to leave the place actually. So, words, mere words. That means he said it just for the sake of saying. The fellow said he would leave, but did not make a move. So, he continued to sit over there only, but verbally he said that he should leave. How can one expect words to match actions in these days of Kali Yuga? That meant that words and action should match each other. But here he was stating that he should leave, but he made no effort to leave. Ratna ran inside, overcome by shyness. That is, she was so shy naturally, so she ran in. After, who's that inside? The lion wanted to know. The he-goat who had taken shelter in the temple replied, "Does it matter who I am? I am a poor animal who has already eaten 9 lions. I vow to eat one more. Tell me, are you male or female?" The lion fled the place in fear, it seems. So, what he actually meant was that Ranga was so impressed by Ratna, he sat over there again and again, felt that and spoke that he should leave, but he made no effort to leave the place. And Ratna, who was feeling very shy and felt very embarrassed, she ran inside. And naturally, the curiosity of Ranga was there to find out who the girl was. Was she married or was she not married? So those were the thoughts that were going on in his mind. Like the he-goat, I said, what does it matter to either of us who she is? I'm already married and you aren't the marrying kind. What he meant to say was that according to Ranga, he wanted to marry somebody mature who would be able to understand him. So he should not really have interest in this girl who is young and she may not be as mature as Ranga would expect him to be so. Very hopefully, he asked, "She isn't married then?" His voice did not betray his excitement, but I knew it was there. The narrator came to understand that there was a lot of excitement in Ranga, and he was also extremely curious to know about the girl Ratna, to make sure that was she married or was she not married. She was married a year ago. That is what the narrator said, although that was not true. Later on, he tells Ranga about it, but right now he said that she was married a year ago. His face shriveled like a roasted brinjal. That means there was a look of helplessness and also disappointment. After a while, Ranga left saying, "I must go, I have work at home." And he said that now that he was disappointed that the girl was already married, so there was no point in taking interest in that girl. So he just stated that he had some work at home to attend to, so he should go. I went to a Shastri the next morning and told him. Shastri was a village astrologer. "Keep everything ready to read the stars. I'll come later." So what was that? Now the narrator planned with the Shastri, that is the village astrologer, to convince him of this, you can say, to convince him and to get him interested in the girl Ratna, so that he could finally marry her. I tutored him in all that I wanted him to say. That meant that he and the village astrologer planned together to be able to convince Ranga about this girl. I found no change in Ranga when I met him that afternoon. "What is the matter? You seem to be lost in thought," I said. So naturally he was doing it purposely because he wanted to find out from Ranga what he was thinking about. Nothing's wrong, believe me." He says, "No, there was nothing wrong really. Everything was well and all right. Headache? Come, let's go and see a doctor." So the narrator suggested that if he was unwell, or if he was feeling low, or he had a headache, he could accompany him to the doctor to find out what was the matter with him. Thank you.